Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Marilyn Angelucci. I'll be your moderator today. Currently, I am serving as the Secretary General for the Family Federation for World Peace in the Middle East. I would like to warmly welcome you this morning for joining us. We're in the middle of an amazing international leadership seminar, and our session this morning, the fifth session, is entitled UPF 15 Years Anniversary Commemoration. Our first 15 years, UPF's contribution to building a world of peace. And we will focus on the accomplishments of UPF since its founding in 2005. I want to thank our speakers today for joining us. As I introduce them, I'll give a short introduction, but their full bio can be found on the chat. We look forward to a very diversified introduction to UPF, and we would like to give you a worldwide view of this movement and give you a better understanding of the depth and to understand the scope and the magnitude of the incredible work for peace that our founders, Dr. and Mrs. Sun Myung Moon, have invested for the world. To begin, we'd like to watch a video that reviews the goals and visions of UPS, focusing on the 5 pillars, pillar associations, and the recent rallies for peace. Let's view the video.
UPF had its inaugural assembly on September 12, 2005 at the Lincoln Center in New York City. Reverend Sun Myung Moon delivered the keynote address.
In closing, I ask you to devote your best efforts for the development and the success of the Universal Peace Federation. Thank you. Thank you.
After UPF was founded, there was a series of world tours where the message of UPF was taken literally to every corner of the world.
That it is time for all nations and religions to break down their barriers. Through this, the era of one family under God will arrive and last forever.
UPF is God's cherished hope. The founders spoke repeatedly of an international peace highway connecting the world from Santiago, Chile to London, across the Bering Strait, what has come to be known as the Peace Road, and a vision for a renewed United Nations. UPF emerged on the foundation of decades of programs initiated by its founders and carried out in all parts of the world. Its growth and development over the past 15 years has been dramatic, if not miraculous, owing in large part to the work of tens of thousands of ambassadors for peace, peace activists, and volunteers who draw from all nationalities, religions, ethnicities, cultures, and traditions, bound together by a vision of peace, a vision of humanity as one global family under one God. The range of programs over the years has been both broad and expansive, from character education to strengthening the family, from conflict prevention to conflict resolution, from poverty reduction to environmental stewardship, from interfaith dialogue to youth service initiatives, from support of the United Nations to partnerships with the African Union, and a wide range of international organizations and NGOs. UPF has a global, multinational, multi-faith network of more than 100,000 ambassadors for peace who support and contribute to the mission and works of UPF. UPF's highest award, the Leadership and Good Governance Award has been given to distinguished leaders the world over. The World Summit Series is UPF's flagship program involving the highest level of leaders from around the globe, including current and former heads of state and government, to address the critical challenges facing humanity.
Very appropriate that we're here on the 100th anniversary of Reverend Moon's birth, because out of the devastation of World War II and the Korean War, he and his bride found the courage to dream that they could achieve something. And it is amazing what they have created together.
Programs have been successfully held in Korea, the USA, Senegal, South Africa, Nepal, Cambodia, and other nations. The most recent structural innovation within UPF has been the creation of a set of associations dedicated to collaboration among leaders from various fields. These pillar associations are: the International Summit Council for Peace was initiated by UPF co-founder Dr. Hak Jahan Moon in 2019 on the occasion of World Summit 2019 in Seoul, Korea. ISCP is an international network of current and former heads of state and government. The International Association of First Ladies, IAFLP, a project of the ISCP, affirms and uplifts the unique role of First Ladies in contributing to peace and development. IAFLP brings together current and former First Ladies from throughout the world, drawing upon their experience and wisdom as women leaders and as role models who serve their countries in significant ways. The International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace, IAPP, is a worldwide association of parliamentarians which provides a forum to bring their experience and wisdom to bear in the search for solutions to our world's problems. UPF maintains that any successful strategy for peace must take into account the spiritual dimension of our human identity, experience, and interactions. Based on this worldview, UPF initiated the Interreligious Association for Peace and Development, IAPD. The International Media Association for Peace, IMAP, represents a worldwide professional network of journalists who support a socially responsible and moral media. IMAP recognizes the vital role that journalists play in providing objective reporting to foster an informed citizenship. The International Association of Academicians for Peace, IAAP, is a global interdisciplinary academic initiative aimed at contributing toward the realization of a world of lasting peace. IAAP is dedicated to building professional networks for academicians to foster a world of peace. The International Association for Peace and Economic Development, IAED, affirms the role of businesses, business leaders, and investors to make the world a better place. In early 2020, UPF convened a rally of hope featuring dignitaries including Pastor Paula White, Cambodia Head of State His Excellency Hun Sen, President Macky Sall of Senegal, former Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper, former US Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich, former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, and many others.
I believe that the Universal Peace Federation and its a broad set of partnerships in the realms of politics, religion, academia, media, economy, arts, women and youth serve as a good model. I believe the Universal Peace Federation will become a cornerstone to build lasting peace around the world and the heavenly unified Korea based on interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universal values.
Celebrating 15 years, UPF will continue to grow through service, dialogue, and collaboration, guided by its spiritual and moral vision of one family under God.
How amazing that is. We started in 2005. In 2020, we held this amazing Summit 2020, which welcomed thousands and thousands of very top-level VIPs to join together to work for peace. Really amazing. Thank you for that video, UPF International. Now I'd like to welcome our first speaker, Dr. Pertan Sinzu, is the Vice President of UPF Africa and is now working as the coordinator for International Association for Parliamentarians for Peace in Africa. And he has experienced firsthand how UPF has covered the whole continent, doing numerous activities and programs in every country, meeting heads of state everywhere, and he would like to share with us now his experience. Please, Dr. Zinzu.
Dear leaders and distinguished leaders of the Universal Peace Federation, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, dear attendees, dear panelists, I wish to appoint Ambassador Roy, Honorable Apostoli, and Mr. David Arias. Ladies and gentlemen, it is for me a great pleasure and an honor to take the floor to present in a few words the contribution of the Universal Peace Federation to building a world of peace. 15 years have gone by since the establishment of the Universal Peace Federation. From the outset, I wish to wish all ambassadors for peace and all leaders of the Universal Peace Federation a happy 15th anniversary. The Universal Peace Federation is the fruit of several efforts and investments which were made by Dr. Hak Jahan Moon and Dr. San Myung Moon, who have played the role of true parents to bring about a new vision in all sectors of human life in terms of education, art, culture, development, leadership, and so on and so forth. In 1994, the Interreligious and International Federation for Peace was launched with the objective to bring together or to combine all previous efforts that were made to build a unified world of peace. This was marked by a motto, which is the hope of all ages is a unified world of peace. Given this situation and realizing the global need for peace, the United Nations needed to renew their identity and functioning in order to establish their mission, which is to establish a world of peace. It is within this framework that the founders of the Universal Peace Federation made a speech and some proposals for the renewal of the United Nations in order to build a world of peace. For this, they were highly awarded and acknowledged globally, and this was celebrated in the Senate in the United States as the King and Queen of Peace. This marked the beginning of a global journey, or even a cosmic journey, with positive human resources as ambassadors for peace. Ambassadors for peace have contributed to realizing many areas of activity and many objectives which are promoted by the United Nations. For this reason, the Universal Peace Federation was granted the special consultative status by ECOSOC on 23rd July 2004. The award of the special consultative status to an NGO opens the way to the United Nations for this organization. It is on this foundation that the Universal Peace Federation was officially launched on September 12, 2005. And this is the day for which we are marking the 15th anniversary today. The driving force and the motto of the Universal Peace Federation is true love is the ideal and main principle of the Universal Peace Federation. After the launching of the Universal Peace Federation, the founders were involved in a global tour, which was titled 100 Cities in 100 Days. After this sacrifice that they made to transfer the vision of peace to humanity, the true parents, who are the founders of the Universal Peace Federation, got engaged in several multidisciplinary activities. In 2006, they had an assembly in the Pacific Islands. In 2007, the Universal Peace Federation held an assembly in New York. In 2008, they held a series of world summits, with the 2008 summit held in the United States, for which the former president, George Bush, participated. In 2009, there was the ILC, International Leadership Conference, and it was held in Seoul, Korea in October 2009. 2010 saw the celebration in the United Nations in New York of the International Day of Africa, during which a link and a partnership was created with the United Nations, and every year the International Day of Africa is celebrated. Similarly, we held a global assembly that same year in 2010. In 2011, the founders got engaged in a global tour, and for this, they went to Africa and they went to Nigeria. That was in July 2011 in Abuja, where the founders were welcomed by His Excellency President Goodluck Jonathan. These opened up a new dimension of the providential mission of peace in Africa. In 2012, the United Nations, based on the founding of the interreligious mission which was taken up by the Universal Peace Federation. The United Nations acknowledged the Universal Peace Federation and launched the Week of Interfaith Harmony, and this was marked for the first time in 2012 with the support and collaboration of the Universal Peace Federation to the United Nations. In 2012, a very important event was held, and that was the ascension of the founder of the UPF, Reverend San Yamun, in 2012. That was in the month of September. And we are also celebrating that as part of this celebration. We are celebrating the 8th ascension of Dr. San Yamun. Our true mother, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon, has carried out a series of summits globally in 2013, in 2014, with the same theme, peace, security, and human development, since these problems are getting more challenging. In 2015, we also held a global summit, and many personalities and ambassadors for peace took part in this particular summit. In 2015, also, we held a global summit, which was marked by the first Sunhak Peace Prize, which was started by the founder, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon. This led to an acknowledgement once more by the United Nations on the relevance, efficiency, and multi-dimensional aspect of the activities of the Universal Peace Federation, and the consultative status of the Universal Peace Federation was renewed, and the UPF was reclassified within the ECOSOC. And now we have the general consultative status in 2018. This was a very decisive event, and shows how much the UPF could achieve its objective. The founder, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon, also felt how much Africa was prepared by God with a human potential which could contribute to the establishment of a world of peace. The first global summit then was held with the project of the Heavenly Africa project was launched in 2018 in Dakar, Senegal. It was the first African summit, which was led and presided by a current head of state, President Macky Sall. These events opened up the way for the launching of the Heavenly Africa project, which constitutes a number of projects which are introduced in some African countries in order to support and advance the vision and noble common objectives for peace and sustainable development. The UPF, therefore, is proposing to work hand in hand with heads of state and governments of African countries through an MOU. A memorandum of understanding was therefore signed between the government of Senegal and the Universal Peace Federation. This marked the beginning of relations with His Excellency Macky Sall up until this year. 2019 was also marked by a global summit with the promotion of African leadership. The third edition of the Sunhak Peace Prize was exclusively dedicated to African leaders, including Dr. Adesina, President of the African Development Bank, and actress Wari Eris. These gave a springboard to the UPF, which was taking part in many activities and partnerships within the continent of Africa. The Universal Peace Federation, through a delegation and its international president, Dr. Thomas Walsh, and the vice president and the chairperson for Africa, Madam Catherine Whitney, to the special session of the African Union in 2019. A series of activities were launched and initiated by Dr. Hector Hanmon in Africa, the African Summit and International Leadership Conference in Johannesburg in 2019. And His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Jonathan was nominated and appointed as chairperson of the International Summit Council for Peace by Dr. Hector Hanmon. A great blessing ceremony called Blessing Festival was held during this event. The Universal Peace Federation also forged a relationship based on an MOU with the government of Sao Tome and Principe. A protocol or an MOU was signed based on a number of activities, including the implementation of the Heavenly Africa project and many other activities. This summit was had the participation of many presidents, President Cavallo, the President of the National Assembly of Sao Tome, and the Prime Minister as well, His Excellency Bon Jesus. This was marked by the signature of the declaration by our true mother, thereby opening the way to the start of a first nation, which was titled the Chon Ekok Nation, or a model nation. Following the establishment of this relationship between the state of Sao Tome and the UPF, Dr. Hector Hanmon offered an ambulance vehicle to the government of Sao Tome, which was officially handed over on 8 September this year. The Universal Peace Federation also signed an MOU with the government of Niger. It was signed in the presence of Dr. Thomas Walsh and members of the government represented by the Minister of Institutional Relations, rather. Before the first continental Africa, a visit was made by Dr. Youn, the General Director of the Global Mission, who met the Prime Minister of Niger, Bichi Rafini, to exchange on key issues linked to the summit, but also to the relationship with the state. So this is the official picture of the Continental Summit of Africa, which was marked by the president of 6 current heads of state. A declaration was also co-signed by His Excellency Issoufou Mahamadou of Niger and our true mother, Dr. Hector Hanmon. So government authorities were also awarded due to the contribution, the President of the National Assembly, who gave us a very, very impressive speech yesterday. And also the Prime Minister was awarded, and they took a picture with our true mother. So that was the ceremony to celebrate the victory of this event. Another watershed event was also held during this event, and that was the signing, the joint signing of an MOU with representation from the African Union, ECOWAS, of the G5 and the UPF represented by Dr. Yun. This MOU was signed, and as part of that, our true mother, Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon, donated an amount for the operational phase of the Continental Free Trade Area, which was launched in Niger during the African Union Summit. Many agreements were made and promises were also made by Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon to the government of Niger as part of this memorandum of understanding. So there was an agreement to donate an ambulance truck, an agreement to donate food, an agreement to train youth. And I would like to say that 3,000 youths have benefited for a project for temporal employment, which is financed by the UPF in Niger. This was also marked by an MOU for another African Continental Summit, which will be held this year in Africa, with the African Union, ECOWAS, and many heads of state, including the current president, the current chairperson of the African Union. A great event to mark the peak of this international summit was the Continental Blessing, which was held in South Africa. This opened up the way for initiatives and for the celebration of the anniversary of the day of the founding in 2020, which was held in Korea. And among the awardees of the Songhak Peace Prize, there was the awardee of the Centenary Prize, His Excellency Dr. Ban Ki-moon, and the awardee of Africa for the Songhak Peace Prize, His Excellency Macky Sall. This led us to a series of activities which today are being marked by the International Leadership Conference, which we are currently celebrating. Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, dear attendees, dear panelists, we do not have enough time to explain all that the UPF has done in terms of contribution to global peace, but we can henceforth acknowledge the investments of associations of the Universal Peace Federation, which are currently operating. I therefore wish to conclude by thanking you for listening, and I also wish to wish you happy 15th anniversary for the UPF, and to also introduce an event which will mark and celebrate this day on behalf of the founders and the leadership of the Universal Peace Federation. And during the 15th anniversary of the creation of the Universal Peace Federation, which we are marking today, I have the honor and a pleasure to dedicate this beautiful song made by the Little Angels in Senegal during the first Global Summit in Africa, thanks to the love of true Mother Moon. Let us listen to the Little Angels.
Let's listen to the Little Angel. Merci beaucoup de votre aimable.
Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Samudra Nusa, Uri Jipri Jira.
Wow, thank you very much. That was a wonderful conclusion to a very comprehensive and interesting presentation. Thank you, Dr. Zinzu. The Little Angels actually are a dance troupe, singing and dance troupe that were created by Dr. Moon and Mrs. Moon many, many years ago, and they've traveled all around the world. And one of their signature characters is that when they go to a country such as Senegal, in this case, they learn a song in the native language. And you can imagine how this really wins the hearts of the people. So they are very successful ambassadors for peace. They traveled all over Europe, Africa, Asia, North and South America to really spread this message of peace. So thank you very much for that. And now I'd like to hear from our second speaker. This is Ambassador Simeon Uwa. He is a native of Nigeria. And right now he's working as the executive secretary of the International Summit Council for Peace for all of the continent of Africa. He's been working very diligently, reaching out to heads of state and doing his best to spread this message of peace and to help make a network of the highest level VIPs so that we can really substantially make a difference in Africa. So I'd like to introduce Ambassador Simeon Uwa. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Marilyn, the moderator. Let me thank my fellow panelists for a wonderful opportunity for us to share together again this 15th anniversary of the Universal Peace Federation. Let me thank the Universal Peace Federation and the International Summit Council for Peace, the founder, Mother Moon, for her untiring efforts at promoting and pursuing global peace. I also want to thank the leadership of the Universal Peace Federation International, led by Dr. Thomas Walsh and his African counterpart, Kathy Rickney, and all the lieutenants for their active coordination of the work of the organization. I thank all the teams in Europe and Africa for putting together this conference and inviting us to share our thoughts on issues that are very significant in our time and of great global interest. We are all living at a very critical time in the history of mankind. The circumstances of our time makes the historic turning point declaration by Father Moon on September 12, 2005 more urgent now, especially with the developments of our time than it was when it was first pronounced. Today is a day when we pause, pray, and give gratitude to all ambassadors for peace all over the world, especially Father Moon, who on this day in 2005 stood with his spouse, Mother Moon, and envisioned the turning point that set up the Universal Peace Federation. Whatever may be our leanings, and no matter the privileges, let us look back at the foundations of the Universal Peace Federation as it influences our life patterns throughout the world. For us who are alive at this critical time, the times have imposed on us enormous responsibility, the responsibility of reconciliation, reconciliation to God and to fellow man. I hope and believe that we all know for certain that the recent happening, the COVID-19 pandemic, is a leveler. It affected all people alike in all continents of the world. But one of the profits from the novel pandemic is that we learned to be more humans than ever before. Our health facilities were overstretched. Homegrown solutions had to be devised. We had no option than to turn to nature, our creator, for solutions, which has been always the reach out, the goal of Universal Peace Federation, to reconcile man both to himself and to his creator. This is the spirit that we need to move forward with as a people. 15 years after the founding of the UPF, the principle of interdependence and mutual prosperity has become the new norm. In this new era, we are not going to look at the sources of artificial peace. We are going to look inwards for more potent and lasting enabler of peace, and that is the spiritual power. Without the spiritual power, physical power, military armaments, military might, financial power will decline and fade away. The only sustainable power is therefore what we have always neglected in our search for peace, and that is the inward spiritual power. The history of mankind is a history of continuous search for peace without being able to attain one. Since from the beginning, when Adam dissociated himself from his creator by acts of disobedience, mankind lost peace. The search, therefore, has been as long as man has existed. Our modern world is even more inflicted with theft of opportunities, summarized as man's inhumanity to man, being the new norm and the modern cause of conflict. To attain lasting peace, we must revisit the principles which the founding fathers had envisioned and worked tirelessly to propagate throughout the world. In the course of this conference, when we held the plenary yesterday of the International Summit Council for Peace, someone asked, why is priority given to Africa and not evenly to Eurasia, Europe, and Indochina? My answer is simple and straight. Africa is the shining continent of the world. The restoration of the world begins with Africa. We must come together to help Africa to mutually prosper with the rest of the developed world. Therefore, I will urge on the developed Europe, the developed America, the developed Asia to help Africa so that together we can prosper. Otherwise, the mutual prosperity principle will have no meaning beyond its rhetorics. I also urge African leaders to rise up now and stand together to adopt the principle of interdependence, mutual prosperity, and shared values as our common guided continental development philosophy. We can develop this philosophy into an ideology that can be taught in our schools to our children across Africa. I say this because, as a scholar, it is possible, and we together can make it a reality. For those who were privileged to be in Senegal in January 2018, we watched and listened to the UPF ISCP founder, Mother Moon. You would appreciate the thought of a new vision for Africa, in creating a new Africa. Let me share with you her words with African leaders at the Dakar Summit. And I quote, I am thankful to all of you because today we have gathered here in Dakar, Senegal, to open a new era in history. This beautiful continent of Africa is one that will become the new heavenly Africa that attains God as the center and can become the most prosperous continent in the world. Africa stands in the position of being the hero of the world. Africa is the birthplace of humanity. Africa can become the heavenly Africa that attains God, becoming the light of the world. Africa is a blessed continent. Today, with the heart of a true mother and a true parent, I have come here to pray and eradicate the historical pain that this continent has endured. So this continent can stand once again in the providence of God and begin a new history. I would like to begin a new era, an era of peace, an era where we share the heart of true love and living for the sake of others. An era of living centering on altruism, where all humanity can attain God as our parent. we can establish together a world of peace, equity, unity, and happiness. Together, we can realize the kingdom of heaven on earth. And I believe in the African continent. She closed her remarks by making a passionate plea. He said, please work together with me to realize this beautiful ideal. Now, with this, I will urge on all of us that as we reflect on the theme of this conference, let us make a collective resolve to develop Africa, to invest in Africa's economy, in Africa's infrastructure, in her people, and make Africa a co-prosperous nation. Let us resolve to make Africa the shining light of the world, and together we shall not have United Nations, but we shall have a family of interdependent nations co-prospering with shared values to enhance the work of restoration. This year, 2020, begins a new narrative for Africa. And Africa and her people are destined for greatness. This will be evident in the coming years as we are determined that together we shall build a peaceful, united, and prosperous Africa. With faith and hard work, the vision will be achieved. Thank you for listening, and happy 15 years anniversary. I thank you.
Wow. The chat is going crazy. They're very inspired by our ambassador's speech. We're so very grateful. You are truly a very sincere and passionate ambassador, not just for your country and for UPF, but also for Mother Moon. And we really appreciate that very much. Thank you, Ambassador Simeon Uwa.
Thank you.
So now we'd like to go forward to our next speaker. I'd like to introduce a man who has been working with UPF from the very beginning. In 2005, he was appointed as the chair of UPF in Albania, and he never stopped his dedication to that expansion of UPF in his country. He served as the Minister of Transportation in his country, and also now he currently has also, again, the position of chair of UPF. As you know, Mother Moon went to Albania a few years ago, and it was a great success thanks to the wonderful foundation that they made there. So I'd like to introduce Honorable Gakko Apostoli. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. Your Excellencies, Ambassadors for Peace, peace-loving citizens, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very much honored to be invited to be part of this important and historical International Leadership Conference held on the occasion of 15th anniversary of the founding of UPF. And it is with great pleasure that I will share with you the journey I walked through from the founding day until today. I want to testify from the beginning that for me, being part of UPF during these 15 years, it's been like graduating from the best university, the University of Peace, and Father and Mother Moon being the best ever existing teachers and professors. As I go through my presentation, I will accompany with photos related to these milestones. It was an honor for me to represent Albania in founding event of UPF in New York in September 12, 2005, together with former President Meidani, being introduced with the vision of UPF and its universal principles made it clear to me that it was the movement in its time had come, and I had a very positive feeling and strongly wanted to be part of it. Father and Mother Moon started right away a world tour to establish UPF in 100 countries, and they visited Albania on October 30th, 2005. They were welcomed as state guests by the President and Prime Minister of Albania at the time, and the UPF inauguration was held in front of 3,000 people at the Congress Palace Hall of Albania. Right after the establishment of UPF in Albania, following the guidance of Father and Mother Moon, we started to educate leaders of Albanian society with principle of peace, and within 2 years we held over 20 conferences, workshops and symposiums, and appointed 1,200 ambassadors for peace. In 2006, with the initiative of UPF, Europe, we launched the Balkan Peace Initiative to foster peace in the Balkans, and during the past 14 years, we organized 24 national Balkan and European leadership conferences to build bridges between Balkan countries. Top-level VIPs from all Balkan countries participated in our events, and we believe UPF has given an important contribution to foster peace processes in the Balkans. One of the projects UPF launched to support Balkans Peace Initiative was also the Balkan Peace Road. In 2018, a group of 28 young people and ambassadors for peace from 16 countries traveled 1,500 kilometers and organized events in 12 cities in 7 Balkan countries involving over 1,700 people. Another initiative UPF Albania undertook was to involve the diaspora of Albania and Albanians living in neighboring countries in the activities of UPF, identifying and appointing as ambassador for peace people with notable contribution in society and encourage them to work harder. So far, we have established 16 Albanian peace councils in 8 other countries, such as USA, UK, Italy, Greece, North Macedonia, Serbia, Montenegro, and of course in Kosovo. We have now over 5,000 ambassadors for peace who are proud to be part of world's UPF. Last couple of years, UPF Albania took another challenge to establish Peace Council in all 61 municipalities all over the country, and at the beginning of last year, 2019, we did complete it. It became a foundation to invite Mother Moon to Albania, and in close cooperation with UPF leadership on European level. In March 2019, we have organized a Balkan Leadership Conference with the participation of 8 former presidents and prime ministers. At the end of the conference, they signed a letter of invitation to Mother Moon to attend the Southeast Europe Peace Summit. Albania was blessed to host last October the Southeast Europe Peace Summit, which was honored by the participation of Mother of Peace. The summit was organized under the patronage of Prime Minister of Albania, and many other institutions and organizations were partners in the summit. We had over 400 VIPs coming from 55 nations. Part of the summit was the opening plenary of the summit with the participation of the current president of North Macedonia and the president of Kosovo, and 12 other former heads of state and governments. There were 1,800 VIPs participating in the event. Another part of the summit was the gathering of 2,000 young people from 40 different countries. Also, a family festival was held at the end of the summit where 1,200 couples intended to demonstrate the need to strengthen family values. At the end of the summit, Mother Moon declared Albania as the heavenly Albania by giving the mission to become a model nation for peace to Balkan countries, and all ambassadors for peace in Albania are determined to work hard to fulfill the mission by becoming peace-loving people and peacemakers. Dear friends, in this context, I'd like to underline that the memoir of the Mother of Peace will serve as a further guide in the realization of the mission of peace by all present and future generations of Albanian ambassadors for peace in their daily activity for this major aspiration, requiring, of course, the commitment of all world humanity. In the final of her unique book For All Human Society, the Mother of Peace concludes that the blessing ceremony is the only solution that brings joy through the blessing of marriages in harmony with heavenly parents. Blessing will bring peace within us, within our families, and communities, nations and the world, heaven and earth, the holy community of heavenly parents. Universal Peace Federation of Albania has done so much during these 15 years, and I am convicted that even bigger accomplishments are waiting ahead of us, and I would encourage everybody to join us and dedicate ourselves into making this world a better place for coming generation. Thank you very much for your attention, and God bless you all and your families. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me I like to sing a song in the final of my speech. Imagine there's no heaven, it's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Imagine there's no countries, it isn't hard to do. No hell below us, and no religion too. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was nice. Imagine there's a wonderful world. Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Gakko Apostoli. That was a very wonderful speech. And, you know, we can see that UPF has invested in many, many countries throughout the world. But the key is, if the head of state can respond to the vision and the objectives of UPF, then absolutely UPF will go to that country and will work there. So we really want to reach out to the people that have the most influence in the country so that our investment can really make a difference in the country. So please, I think everyone should remember that, and we should make efforts in that direction. So for our grand finale, I'd like to introduce a dear friend, Mr. David Fraser Harris. He's been working in the Middle East for many, many years. First, he was in Syria with his family for many years, and now he is working as Secretary General of UPF in the Middle East and has done numerous projects and conferences to help bring peace in the Middle East. He will present to us now a very unique view of UPF. Welcome, David.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Europe. Good afternoon, Middle East. Good afternoon, Russia. And good afternoon, even Pakistan. There's a lot of you on the call I can see. Permit me to share my screen. And I would like to tell you a little bit of the story behind the photos. We start with the founding. True love is the ideal and universal guiding principle of the Universal Peace Federation. That was 15 years ago. Okay, this is your chance. In the chat, if you were there 15 years ago, put I was there in 2012 in the chat. Let's see how many people do it. But from 2005 to 2020, we're now celebrating 15 years. The question is, what's happened? I am not going to give you a lot of slides of all the events we've done, but I would like to look at some of the beginning and end, or some of the differences. This is an example of World Summit 2019. And for me, it's important because people whose countries are enemies to each other and who are leaders of those countries both say the same thing about Mother Moon. So you see a picture of the former president of Israel and the former vice president of Iran, and both recognized Mother Moon as a peacemaker and were happy to attend the event. This is an opening to bring peace even between those countries. Here we have World Summit 2020, and on this occasion, we're looking at the ISCP. And part of my approach will be to take the different pillars of UPF and say, where do they come from? So the International Summit Council for Peace is one of the major steps, as Mrs. Angelucci was just telling us. But this is last year, International Summit Council for Peace at the World Summit in 2019. And I wrote here, which photo do you prefer? You might be surprised, because the one on the left is a good formal photo of a lot of heads of state and VIPs and dignitaries who attended the summit. But actually, the one on the right is almost the same. It's just that some of them are on their knees and some of them are just crowding in at the back. The one on the right is a family photo. I like that because heads of state can feel that we are one family. And I think that's part of the magic of UPF. But this is where the Summit Council for Peace hails back to, 1987. This is the Summit Council for Peace, created then by Father and Mother Moon. And the picture on the left you might find interesting. There's Kim Jong-il in the picture. And then there are dignitaries from government people from Canada and Costa Rica, together also with Kim Il-sung. So many of you have probably heard of Father Moon going in 1991 to North Korea, but it wasn't without the foundation, and it was the Summit Council that helped to make that foundation. So this was the Summit Council's International Commission for the Peaceful Reunification of Korea in Pyongyang. What is that, 33 years ago. And I'd like to read a comment from a former Prime Minister of Egypt speaking about the role of the Summit Council then. World peace will be achieved when we emphasize spiritual laws that transcend and give meaning to the physical world, and when we establish a world community of peoples and nations under the parenthood of God, to build relations of true love among us all. This is from Aziz Sidki, the former Prime Minister of Egypt and former Chairman of the Council of Presidents for the Summit Council for World Peace. This is also 1987, and it's in Berlin. I was there when we marched to demonstrate against the Berlin Wall, and the young man at the center of the picture is Father Moon and Mother Moon's eldest son, Hyojin. He led our demonstration, and we demonstrated at the Berlin Wall, which came down 2 years later. So this is the work of youth 33 years ago. This is the work of youth in 2020, the International Association of Youth and Students for Peace. And in between, there's a lot of work going on. Here is a youth and sports event, Play Soccer, Make Peace in Jordan in 2006. And this team are the young Yemeni victors of the football tournament. And here on the right, just 4 years ago, young Israeli and Arab students from Israel playing in San Marino near Italy. Here's another youth program that goes back a long way. You've probably heard of the one on the right. This is the religious youth service still going. This is the Hungary project in 1986. I was directing that project, and I remember one girl from Israel coming during our reflection period and saying, you know, this project has changed me. I live in Jerusalem, along with Christians and Muslims. I've never spoken to one in my life, but during these 6 weeks, they became my friends. So we can overcome barriers when we put together people with one vision and one desire to help others. This project, where I learned this little expression that God is in the other person. If I don't see God, it's because I'm not looking. God is in the other. And this is incorporated in the Hindu greeting of Namaste. I greet the God in you. But this program, the Youth Seminar on the World's Religions, ran from 1982 to 1985 and brought together young people from the different religions to visit the holy sites. And I'm reading now, by traveling together and experiencing the many faces of the sacred and the eternal. These young people forged lifelong bonds of love and affection across lines once marred by historical hatred. I'm not going to give names, but the people from these projects kept their faiths, and one of them at least became the prime minister of his country later on. We are building in the hearts of people an attitude of peace. There's a lot of educational programs that UPF is involved in. Under the name of the International Education Foundation, a program was developed in Russia in the 90s, developed in new forms in China, and has now been adapted and is being used in Palestine, as you can see from this illustration. This is a program to guide and educate our young people. And we have another one. This one I know is developed by the Youth and Students for Peace, based upon the 4 types of love in the family. It's taught widely in Asia, and I believe is being applied also in Sao Tome and different countries. Actually, UPF has 5 or 6 different types of character education programs available. And they can give hope to a country, because the value for the future of the country lies in the proper character and standards of their youth. Another thing from 2020 is the Interreligious Association for Peace and Development. You see many of our Interfaith Harmony Week programs. Actually, 1975, Father Moon founded the first multi-faith seminary with Greek Orthodox, Church of Christ, Roman Catholic, Jewish, Confucianist, and there, the dialogue from there was the foundation for all the dialogue programs that you see. This man, Mar Gregorios, is an Indian. He passed away some years ago. He was president of the World Council of Churches. And in 1992, when he spoke at the assembly in Korea, he said, even though we may have different beliefs, and these words here at the bottom, we pledge, rooted in our own religious traditions, to work with you for the fulfillment of the will of God. This man taught me a lot about dialogue. He showed exactly how dialogue works, and we respect one another. And when I was listening in the IAPD session yesterday to the words of Prophet Radebe, he said the same thing. We have to accept reality. And when we accept reality, this empowers us to do something about it. And this is the undergirding of healthy dialogue. In the 80s, I'm going to read the titles of these programs just to show the level of work that UPF stands on. The Trinitarian Basis of Christian Unity, Moscow, 1989. Intra-Jewish Dialogue, Switzerland, 1986. Dialogue for Muslim-Christian Friendship and Understanding, Istanbul, 1991. Intra-Hindu Conference in India, 1986. Buddhist Dialogue in Thailand, 1986. And then, of course, the Cairo Conference. At the time of the first Gulf War, Muslim leaders came together under the calling of Father Moon to guide their nations not to turn the existing conflict into a big war. The International Religious Foundation has a history of assemblies, which, before it, a God the Contemporary Discussion series of conferences. And if you don't know the world scripture, look it up online today. As the comment says at the bottom, the Professor Ninian Smart of the first comparative religion department in the UK says this book is compiled in the spirit of reverence for all spiritual paths. In 1991, today is the 12th of September. Yesterday was the 9/11 attack in America. At that meeting, Father Moon met with this man, the president of Indonesia, and offered to do a conference with him. This conference was a World Summit of Muslim Leaders held in December 2001. And there is a publication from that, and I'm not going to read the invitation for time reasons. This is in this year, the IAPAP, the International Association of Academics for Peace. But in the 1970s, Father Moon started the International Conference on the Unity of the Sciences. And he said, the greatest accomplishment of ICUS is that we have established a close and warm family bond. So more than the thing we do is the heart that connects us. In that same year, in 1981, this is one of the conference sciences. And in that year, Father Moon announced the World Highway for Peace with crossings in Russia and between Korea and Japan. This was the design for that project. And here, in the launching of UPF, was announced the Bering Strait Peace King Bridge Tunnel, which would be a peacemaker by getting nations to work together. That's between Russia and America. And this is the Japanese preparation of the tunnel in between Korea and Japan. This is the Japanese Peace Road group visiting city after city to get support for the Peace Road Tunnel. These are events in Russia, Pyongyang, and the Middle East. This is the Peace Road in America, which went to all these locations for the purpose of reconciling all people, especially with the spirit this year, especially where we know this is here people from the Black Lives Matter and the Peace Road are praying with them and for reconciliation. And this is the same team visiting the place where the first Africans came to America. This is the same team at the Bering Strait. And the other side of the same Bering Strait, the same year, this is 2020. And this is the marathon created earlier to bring together and reconcile Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus. And this is the Russian team in Pyongyang. So in 2020, we have the IAPP Assembly, the parliamentarians. Here are inaugurations in Pakistan, in the UK, Morocco, in Lebanon. Here, we're talking here about dialogue and democracy in Nepal. UPF Nepal has held 6 South Asia Peace Initiative conferences that have brought together monarchists, Maoists, members of the alliance to dialogue on issues and modalities of Nepal's ongoing peace process. They appreciated in 2008 the work of the International Association of Parliamentarians of Peace to build a peaceful future for their country. These are 2 conferences in Moldova and in Moscow, bringing together different partners for peace. This is a Syrian conference where a member of the Syrian parliament was there, members of the opposition were there, and they spoke as brothers looking for one way forward together. This is the Middle East Peace Initiative that you know of. And these are more memoranda of understanding in Middle Eastern countries. This is reaching out to the Vatican and sharing memoranda of understanding with different bodies. And I close. The owners of UPF are ambassadors for peace. That's you. So let me finish with a birthday cake. Happy birthday, UPF. Happy birthday to you all. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you for your lives. Let's roll up our sleeves and make the next 15 years even better. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. David Fraser Harris. He's made incredible effort, not just in the Middle East and Europe, but on many, many levels. And as you can see, the foundation of UPF goes far before 2005. And this is his point. He wants to show us that Father Moon and Mother Moon started a long time before 2005 to make this incredible foundation of interdependence, mutual prosperity, and mutually shared values. So thank you very much, David. And now we're coming to the conclusion of our program. We had very wonderful, informative presentations here. But before we close, we don't have time for question and answers, but I would like to invite each of our panelists to come and just say a few words of greeting as we finish up. Please, it should be short, just a greeting and some final words, and then we'll all come together and we'll make a screenshot of us all waving and smiling for Mother Moon. She wants to see all the panelists. So let's begin with Ambassador Uwa. If you could give a short greeting to everyone before we finish. Thank you.
Thank you so much once again. And let me say a happy 15th anniversary. While I encourage each and every one of us, every person, do all that you can to be peaceful with yourself, with your next person. And then, of course, let's develop the political will to ensure that we live peacefully together. I urge every African leader and every leader in the world to go back to this declaration statement by Reverend Moon 15 years ago. This is the roadmap for us to achieve global peace. Thank you.
Thank you for that, that inspiration. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Zinwa, could you please, would you like to greet us?
Je voudrais donc conclure mon message en
I would like
demandant
to conclude my message
les participants et à tous ceux
telling everyone and all those who are listening around the world, in Africa, in the Middle East and Europe, that the solution to resolve humankind problems is in the vision of Mrs. Moon, the true mother, the mother of peace, the founder of Universal Peace Federation. If all of us, we can get hand in hand united, serving your Heavenly Father and the true parents, centered on universal principle of universal shared value, interdependencies, and universal value, all the problems in all the levels will be solved. Thank you. I wish you happy birthday once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Zinnu. All right, Mr. David Fraser Harris, let's have some final remarks from your side.
I guess we're only 15 years old.
You're muted.
You're a teenager. So we have a long way to go. Let's do it together. I'm really honored to be here, really thankful to share with you. This is our time. This is the time that the world needs God, and the world needs people of faith and people of commitment like all of you. So let's do it. Let's give the hope that this world needs by the way that we live and the way that we reach out. Happy anniversary to you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. And now I'd like to have all the panelists on the screen. Anyways, I don't have control of the screen. I see a lot of interpreters, but I guess Matteo is doing this. So we just like to smile and wave. 1, 2, 3. Hello. All right, thank you very much. We get a screenshot of that. Thank you, everyone. This we come to a conclusion of the commemorative event for the 15th year of UPF's hard work and dedication for world peace. And our next session will be the International Association of First Ladies for Peace. And here you'll see what you need in order to join that. That will start at 12:30 Central European Time. Thank you very much for participating, and please stay connected so that you can enjoy from all the sessions. Thank you very much, everyone. Good afternoon.